Hiking is the most ridiculous idea ever invented, at least if you ask Fran Lebowitz. And that's just the beginning, because her opinions on everything from leaf blowers to love are guaranteed to divide the room. But here's where it gets even more entertaining, she's dead serious. Fran Lebowitz is asked to share her thoughts on 5 different topics, and, unsurprisingly, she has strong feelings about every single one. First up, leaf blowers. In her view, leaf blowers are a truly terrible invention, a horrible, horrible invention, as she might put it, and she went a large part of her life without even knowing they existed. She only discovered them about 2 decades ago, when she rented a house in the countryside and suddenly met this noisy machine up close. Living in New York City, she points out, you do not exactly suffer from a leaf crisis. The city has almost every problem imaginable, but a lack of leaf management is not one of them. When she was growing up, leaves were handled with rakes, which, importantly, are quiet and straightforward. She remembers raking as calm and practical, especially compared with the loud chaos of blowing leaves around. Leaf blowers, on the other hand, strike her as absurd. They make a shocking amount of noise, and, she jokes, within 10 minutes of blowing them away, the big leaf blower in the sky sends them right back. In other words, the work is undone almost instantly. To her, this makes leaf blowers not just annoying but fundamentally pointless, a textbook example of a useless invention. Then come dinner parties. Lebowitz enjoys dinner parties, but only at other people's homes. Hosting them herself is absolutely not on her agenda. She divides the world into 2 clear categories, hosts and guests. She firmly identifies as a guest, someone who shows up, enjoys the evening, and then leaves without worrying about cooking, cleanup, or social logistics. Because she is older now, she says she very rarely finds herself trapped at a dinner party she dislikes. Over time, she has become an excellent judge of what a particular event will be like before she agrees to attend. That means she can usually avoid evenings that feel tedious, awkward, or dull. This preference highlights a broader theme in her personality. She knows what she likes, and she is unapologetically selective about how she spends her time. Next topic, book clubs. Lebowitz acknowledges that book clubs are probably pleasant for the people who enjoy them, and she doesn't harbor any hostility toward the concept. However, she cannot imagine anything less suited to a group activity than reading. For her, reading is one of the most intensely solitary pleasures in life, a private, quiet conversation between a person and a book. That is one of the main reasons she loves reading so deeply. The idea of turning that experience into a scheduled, collective discussion simply does not appeal to her. She does not condemn the people who like book clubs, but she is very clear that this kind of social reading culture is not for her. And this is the part most book club lovers might disagree with. Is discussing a book with others enriching, or does it interrupt the personal magic of reading? Now, airports. Lebowitz describes airports as if they were invented by the same twisted mind that created leaf blowers. In her opinion, airports are awful places by design, though she concedes that some are marginally less dreadful than others. Still, the overall experience is rarely pleasant. One specific gripe she has is that you cannot smoke in airports in the United States, which, for a devoted smoker like her, eliminates one of the few small comforts that might make travel bearable. She believes that, like many parts of life, the quality of an airport experience depends heavily on the people around you. If the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, agent you encounter behaves like a harsh prison guard, the entire process becomes miserable. She notes that she has had her hands tested for traces of explosives more times than anyone could reasonably imagine, and yet she must keep her real thoughts to herself. She jokes that what she wants to say is something like, "Do I look like the person who put a bomb in their luggage? Let's use some common sense." But, of course, saying that out loud would be unwise. Her frustration captures a larger criticism of airport security culture: invasive, stressful, and often lacking in basic logic. On to Labubu. Lebowitz says she is unfortunately familiar with these dolls. Over the years, there have been many crazes around particular toys, but this specific type strikes her as especially unattractive. They do not appeal to her visually at all. What stands out to her as truly odd, though, is not that children enjoy them, but that adults do. She notes that what used to be a childhood fad has now been embraced by grown-ups. People attach these dolls to their bags, belts, and personal items, carrying them around as accessories. To her eye, this looks ridiculous. She finds it bizarre that adults, who once might have outgrown this kind of thing, now proudly display these objects in public. And here's where it gets controversial. Are these adults simply expressing harmless fun and nostalgia, or have we blurred the line between childhood and adulthood a little too much? Then comes a more intimate question: what is the strangest thing she has ever done for love? Lebowitz responds by immediately reframing expectations. At 75, she explains, romance is not at the center of her life, no matter how many movies or books suggest that love must always be a person's primary focus. She insists that anyone her age who claims that romance is their main concern is probably not telling the truth. She knows that many people consider her to be an unusual person, but she resists the idea that she is weird. She does not see herself as someone prone to wild or grand romantic gestures. If others associate love with dramatic sacrifices or over-the-top stunts, she does not share that inclination. Her attitude toward romance is more measured, restrained, and practical. The interviewer suggests that weird could be relative, perhaps something unusual by her own standards, such as taking up an extreme sport for someone she loves. Leibowitz's answer is firm: absolutely not. She has never, at any age, looked at extreme sports and thought, that seems fun. Mountain climbing, for instance, has never once sounded appealing to her. If someone wants to go climb a mountain, she has no objection, but she wishes them well from solid ground and has no desire to join. She says she simply cannot understand why people enjoy these physically demanding outdoor activities. Hiking, in her view, is the most foolish pastime she can imagine. She considers walking long distances up hills for recreation to be the opposite of enjoyable. The most she has done in the name of romance, she recalls, is watching someone play tennis, and even that was only during the very early stages of falling in love. 2 weeks later, once the initial enthusiasm had faded, she stopped showing up. The message is clear: she does not believe love requires self-sabotage or pretending to like things you actually detest. The conversation then shifts to one of her style trademarks, jeans. Leibowitz is famous for always wearing jeans, but she explains that finding the perfect pair today is, in her opinion, impossible. She believes that the ideal jeans, specifically, a certain kind of Levi's, are no longer being made. If she had known the manufacturer would stop producing them, she says she would have bought 100 pairs in advance. Unlike perishable goods, jeans do not spoil in storage, so stockpiling them would have made perfect sense. Because she did not foresee this, the only way to get perfect jeans now, she argues, is to have them custom-made. Fortunately, she owns so many pairs from earlier years that she is still in the repair stage, constantly mending and maintaining them rather than replacing them. She also admits that she is old enough to still think of jeans as a $25 item. To her, prices above that feel absurd. This creates an interesting clash between her internal sense of reasonable cost and today's fashion market, where high-end denim often sells for many times that amount. Next, the interviewer points out that she has appeared as a judge in both the TV series Law and Order and the film The Wolf of Wall Street, and asks if there's a particular reason for that. Leibowitz explains that she has been invited to act in films numerous times, but she insists that she cannot act. She sees acting as a genuine talent, and it is one she does not possess. When people remind her that she was on Law and Order and in The Wolf of Wall Street, she clarifies that she played a judge in both cases for a very specific reason. In her daily life, she feels that she is essentially a judge already, not a legal one, but a constant evaluator of people, behavior, and culture. Judging is what she does, mentally, from morning to night. These roles allowed her to literalize that quality with a robe and gavel, props she does not normally carry around but jokingly says she would enjoy having. Even so, she maintains that she could not take on any other kind of role. Her appearance in those productions depends entirely on her playing a character that perfectly aligns with her real personality. The topic turns to nemesis. Lebowitz is sure she has more than one person out there who could qualify as her nemesis, possibly dozens.